Hello, myself Dr. Kaushik Khalder, and our goal is to integrate creative thinking throughout various aspects of life, nurturing it as natural attitude and not merely a procedure. In the same context, regarding our courses, we have carefully designed our course to ensure that participants not only acquire a profound understanding of different innovation frameworks and tools, but also develop the ability to apply them efficiently and autonomously. This will allow them to think innovatively as naturally as a fish swims in water without relying on external guidance or instruction when they pursue workplace innovation. Let's start the topic today. Our topic is job crafting using traits of leadership and design thinking. In organization, for not having job satisfaction is broadly classified as external factor and internal factor. There may be various reasons counted under each of the pillar, that is external factor and internal factor, but however, we'll be focusing on two topics over here. One is office politics under external factor and lack of self-motivation under internal factor. In today's session, we'll be focusing on lack of self-motivation. Like a self-motivation can be of various reasons. We'll be taking one of the key reason rather, that is job satisfaction. So if job satisfaction is not there, then definitely it will impact the self-motivation. And to have the job satisfaction, bring in place this process, that is job crafting, is very important. So what is job crafting? Job crafting is the proactive process where employees adjust their tasks, interactions, and perspective to align with their strengths, passions, and evolving needs of their role. This enhances job satisfaction, engagement, and overall well-being. The key idea behind this is being at same work, getting more meaning out of that job. Why job crafting is motivating? The reasons listed over here, that is, it brings less stress, increase in motivation and self-satisfaction, accept challenges to acknowledge based on mastery, great performance. What are the pitfalls of job crafting? Definitely, if there is positive, is there negative supposed to be there, and main two reasons are misaligned with expectation of the employer. What it means is, like, if suppose a requirement has been given to us, probably sometime we may misalign ourselves with that requirement. We may go ahead with the choice what we feel is more important for us, and this may also bring sometime overburden, because we have to acknowledge the requirement of the organization and also have to look into our priorities, self priorities, and this may also bring sometime overburden. Job crafting is mainly been distinguished under three different pillars. One is task crafting, relationship crafting, and cognitive crafting. So we'll look into one at a time. What is job crafting? What is task crafting? Task crafting refers to employees proactively modifying the specific duties and responsibilities of their job to align with their strengths and preferences. This can involve seeking out new tasks, delegating or redistributing existing ones, and introducing creative changes, ultimately enhancing job satisfaction and individual effectiveness. Taking an example, a bus driver can decide to give helpful sightseeing advice to tourists that they are dropped off along their route. We come to the next one, that is relationship or relation crafting, which involves employees consciously adjusting their interaction and connections with colleagues, clients, and superior to improve collaboration, communication, and work relationships. By fostering meaningful connections and building a supportive network, individuals can enhance their job engagement and overall well-being within the organization. If we take an example, a marketing manager can brainstorm with a product designer to talk about different stages of the product life cycle and thereby unlocking creative benefits while crafting relationship. The last and the third pillar, that is cognitive crafting. It is the intentional alteration of one's perception and attitude towards their job. Employees reshape how they perceive tasks and challenges, focusing on growth opportunities and positive aspects. This mindset shift can boost motivation, resilience, and overall job satisfaction, leading to a more fulfilling work experience. Taking an example, a janitor to President Kennedy. I am helping out a man to be on moon, Mr. President. Now we will be looking into the factors, reasons, causes to see how best the job can be crafted. Let us understand design thinking to address job crafting. We'll have different tools to acknowledge cognitive crafting, task crafting, and relationship crafting. We'll be taking an use case as an example to understand the job crafting, and we will be using the same use case under different pillars to understand their task in that particular use case. First, we will go with the tool that is customer journey. So customer journey is a visual framework mapping user experience and emotions across interaction with a product or service, guiding design for empathy, improvement, or innovation. Here, the example is taken of a customer who is willing to purchase a new car. Now, before getting into that one, let me tell you, in the customer journey, the x-axis represents time. In the y-axis represents the customer experience. Below origin, it represents negative experience, and above origin, it represents positive experience. So over here, we are just representing the experience as a happy note, positive experience as a happy note, and the negative experience as a negative note. And the thing is, if a customer is happy on a particular situation in compared to the other, then we bring that particular node to be on higher side in compared to the previous one. So that is a relative way we do it, and we have not used any quantitative measurement over here to measure the positive or negative experience on each of the node. Here we will be using the relativeness. Now say, if we want to track the experience of a customer who is willing to purchase a new car, then let us start from very beginning till the time he has driven the car back to his home, the new car to his home. So at the beginning, what made him to think of purchasing a new car? Because his existing car met a failure. So that is a negative experience. And next, he started searching for the car, and the showroom he is willing to visit. He visited the showroom, the next note, and he was quite happy. He met finance officer as well, and promises were made. And with all the discussions and takeaways, he was quite happy. Then he felt the promises been made by financing officer is not at par. It is not the way it is going, or it is not the way it has been discussed in the showroom. So that is again a negative experience. Somehow he again got a call from other executive of the same financial institute, and or maybe from other financial institute, and he was happy with that. And after having a discussion and with the process, he went through a waiting state where he carries no sentiment. He was neutral in sharing in those notes, like waiting for receiving a contract. He carries no sentiment towards that. Sentiment in the sense, no positive sentiment, neither negative sentiment. Again, in the next note, signing the financial agreements. So that is again neither a positive experience nor a negative experience. After that, he received a thank you note from the company, that is car company, and then he drove his car to his home, new car to his home. That is definitely an excellent experience. So this is the journey on very much high level we went through. We can even break down into more smaller nodes, like it can be in such a way, like after visiting the showroom, what was the experience of meeting the salesperson over there, how they have guided us with the brand or with the model that what we are looking for. So probably like we can break down into more smaller pieces. Definitely we are supposed to do that. Each and every experience that need to be captured as a node over here. Now, if we want to define again the customer journey, it is focused on how empathetic are we about our end customers. The output of this exercise is intended to understand what the customer goes through while experiencing a service or a product end to end. Hence, we should really not look at this from just a buying or selling perspective, but also what are those touch points or moment of truth which the customer experiences in the journey. Next, we'll define use case by taking different nodes of a particular domain, that is IT. These are few of the nodes which are usually being followed in IT industry. I'll rather say not only in IT industry, maybe in other industries also. More or less the same generic methods are being used. So the first is getting the requirement, and after the requirement is received, the job is to understand that requirement. Once the requirement has been gone through, then we need to go for feasibility study, and in that feasibility study, the requirement may go for few changes. That is based on the technical feasibility and business viability. What does it mean? Maybe it is from business point of view, the leaders will look into what is more profitable or what is more viable. In that way, like leaders may suggest. And in this discussion, definitely we have our stakeholders or end user onboarded, and the discussions happen in front of everyone to get the requirement modified to some extent. That is based on the feasibility in all extents. Once the feasibility study is done, then the process for development starts, and it starts with brainstorming, like it is a planning procedure, we can say. Once the planning procedure is done for the development, then negotiations are being done. negotiations on the time factor is been done. Once the negotiation is been approved, or the time or effort or the resources can be anything, that is human resource for development or like the infrastructure, anything. Once that is approved, development initiates. Once the development is done or at the course of ending position, then demo is being shared with the stakeholders or the end user, and at that point of time they may again come up with few changes. So that is a change request. With that change request being acknowledged, then again the testing is done. Once the testing approves, it rolls out to production. So this is the almost a daily job of an IT, and it is a very generic use case, and if I am not wrong, can be used, and I believe it is the way like it follows in other industries also. Now, from personal point of view, what is that negative and positive sentiment I carry during this use case being executed? Now, when the requirement is coming, it is obviously a positive sentiment, like a new work is coming. Definitely, we are going to experience a new thing. That is a positive sentiment. Requirement modification, that is a feasibility study that needs knowledge, experience, everything. And that is again a great experience. Every new thing that comes with a new feasibility study and a great experience over there. So that is definitely a great experience. But for me, I'm talking about from my side. So as said in the beginning, like we'll be mostly focusing on self, like how best we can use these tools for our self-understanding or self-grooming. So as like at workplace, we can bring it as easy as possible. Next, I had some issues with 3 different nodes. One is the brainstorming. We'll come to the point like why I carry negative sentiment. Next is the innovation. Innovation is nothing but the time what we discussed, that is negotiation with superior or leaders on various aspects. That part I am saying has to be innovation, and then the development part. Then again, change request. It is a node where we carry no sentiment because it is expected to come, and it carries no positive sentiment and negative sentiment. Once it rolls out to testing department, then again it is a even though it is a crucial phase, but we are happy saying that our development is over, and definitely next what will come is based on the suggestion on the testing team. And then once testing team approves, it rolls out to production or rolls out to end user. So in the whole phase of my journey, I carry almost everything as positive sentiment except 3 different nodes, that is brainstorming, innovation, it is nothing but the negotiation phase, and another one is development phase. So now these 3 different nodes are being segregated in 3 different pillars of job crafting, that is brainstorming, that is your task crafting, your cognitive crafting, and relationship crafting. Following the customer journey, we have seen like brainstorming was one of the negative sentiment, and the reason for that is till date whatever the brainstorming was carried out was within the group, within the department, and the output of the brainstorming was limited to the knowledge and experience that particular department resources were carrying. So it was very usual, like a trendy or a predicted pattern of work is expected to come up. So there is no new or no out-of-box thinking was happening till time. So that was the reason why it carried negative sentiment for me. And for The negotiation one, like which otherwise, like I said, like has to be innovation, is again carrying negative sentiment. The reason is, I always wanted to have a capability to build up within the project, so as like that capability to carry out the work not only for that particular project can also help in creating generic assets, which not only can be used only for that particular project, can also be generically can be used by other projects. So at the same time, like we are coming up or developing the project, we are also in process of developing asset for the company, and probably like in course of time, if that goes really unique, that can also be patented. So that was something, the thought process, and was not usually it has been carried out. Task crafting, changing the responsibility and reshaping role from project manager to coach, mentor, to teach subordinates, researcher, to bring innovation at work. We'll start with cognitive crafting first. In cognitive crafting, we should not limit our thoughts to the work that has been given to us. Rather, we need to align our thought or vision with the organization vision. Saying that, what it means is, like, if we have been given a work to work on a small module, it is not like always we should think like the module, how it should work, and how definitely we should think on that one to make it best possible way to work in best optimized way. But also at the same time, we should carry the vision aligned to organization thinking, how this module is not only benefiting the dependent modules, rather how it is going to benefit the whole stakeholders as a whole. It may be benefiting 1 million customers who are dependent on this particular, maybe dependent on this particular module. Let us think in this way, the way janitor has acknowledged to President Kennedy, like he is helping to put a man to moon. So I have just taken that example again, just to make it clear, like we should keep our vision at par of organization. So this is the tool NABC. NABC means need. What is the need of that organization? What is the need of that organization? Organization means at that particular time, what is the need of that particular project? Next is approach and feasibility. So we need to point out all possible feasibility from business point of view, from technical point of view, and and the third quadrant is very important, like what is the benefit it is going to bring up, like from that project as a whole. And definitely, like we should also look into, like when we are distributing this into different teams as a module, then this NABC will also work in a segregated way. So now what we are discussing is a part of that project, the benefit as a whole from the project, and competition or challenges. Rather, let's not discuss the competition over here. It is a challenges for the whole project that is expected or predicted. So this is from project point of view. Now, if we talk about from module point of view, then what is the need of that module? How it is going to benefit the upstream and downstream modules. Now, the approach and feasibility. The approach and feasibility for that particular module, like if it is dependent on few of the modules upstream, then what is the structure of the data it is expected, how it is going to process, how, like say if it is NLP, natural language processing, which is a part of AI, so how it is going to cater. Is it something like already built-in library will be used, or in-house algorithms need to be developed? So that is the approach or feasibility that need to be encountered in this second quadrant, how it is going to benefit. Now, again, this is, I said, like a very important thing, like if we have different ways of acknowledging a particular target thing, then it is always good to put all the feasible process, and the one that has been adapted. Let us say like why that particular process has been adapted. Now say what I am trying to say over here is there are 3 different processes and can acknowledge to the need of that particular module, small functions say. Now say process A, process B, process C, but we have adopted process A instead of process B and process C. Why it is so? We're supposed to mention that one. It may so happen, like I said, like we have that module is using NLP, and the accuracy percentage of process B and process C might be less in compared to process A, and that's what it made us to adopt process A. So that is the benefit or say advantage, we can say. That is the third quadrant we look into. Next is the challenges. The challenges, it may so happen like the inbuilt libraries in Python or R or any language or tools we are using may not compile with the requirement that stakeholder has come up with. We may have to come up with our own algorithm, or we need to build our own algorithm. So that is a challenge. It is not always easy to come up with the algorithm. So that we can mention it as a kind of a challenge over here. Next, we'll get into the task crafting. Before we get into the task crafting, we'll try to understand a tool, that is why and how lettering. Before getting into the tool again, let us try to understand the use case related to that one. In a discussion between mother and his son wants to purchase an expensive pen before his exam. He further wants to convince his father as finance for that pen would come from him. At the same time, he knows convincing his father is very tough as he is very rational and will require facts for every reason. Now let me tell you this why and how lettering, or we can say like how might we. We also sometimes say HMW. This particular tool is used for reframing the question or the requirement. Now, it may so happen like we come up with a requirement, but it is something like not the real requirement what we actually mean. That may need to be rephrased. So this particular tool helps in reframing or rephrasing the requirement. So let us get into that one, like how it helps in reframing and rephrasing the requirement. So what was the requirement of the kid? To make his father understand of the fact like he is looking for an expensive pen. So his challenge is to make his father convinced. So that is his challenge. So his requirement, we mention it in this way. How might we? Okay, we usually preface this phrase, that is how might we. Why? We'll try to understand that one bit in next slide. But for now, let us understand, like we'll preface this one like how might we, and then we can put the next part of the requirement, that is convincing father to purchase an expensive pen. So that is a challenge for the kid. Now father may come up asking like why that pen is good. Why? Question is why. And this why and how, why will be a question. There is a how associated to that particular why. Again, there can be an why laddering to that previous why, and again there can be a how acknowledging to that particular why. This iteration may come up say 5 to 6 times, and usually in that like we end up coming up with a reframed if at all there is anything, you usually come up with a reframed requirement to relative to the previous one. So if we see further, like acknowledging to that question, that is why the pen is good, smooth writing, scientific weight, good grip, it is expected to help in the exam. That is how it is going to help. So that how is related to this why. And again coming up with next why after getting that acknowledgement. why the writing is good. Again, how the writing is good, that is an acknowledgement supposed to be for this why. Now the pen tip is made up of platinum, which is not only made to write on any kind of paper, it retains smoothness. So that is how it is how it is writing is good. So the requirement, if we see, it is not to make father convinced on the fact of purchasing a pen, rather the requirement is something different. Requirement is how might we have a good experience in writing an exam. So basically it is not convincing father. The need of the kid is actually to have a better experience in writing the exam and not purchasing an expensive pen. So this is how like the requirement has got reframed. So we said like we'll try to understand like what is this how might we. How is usually been attached to as a first word because it is a possible ways of solving the challenge or question. Next is might. It is a safe space where the potential idea might work. And it reminds us as a team that we solve the problem together as a team. If we now get into the task crafting related to the use case what we have discussed prior. So the task crafting is required because the person is looking into the job as a boring job. So what is this pain area now? The pain area is how might we get rid of the boring job. So why it is so? So probably for me, as because the sentiment is being gathered that is on my behalf, it is a monotonous work. How? Reshape. How? Probably like you can acknowledge to that one. Reshape the role based on your passion. Next, on top of that, why? Not able to bring my knowledge and full potential to work. Again, how you are going to acknowledge that why? Talk to peers in other department or take initiative, talking and building relationship with other departments for your organization and see if we can bring value to them. Again, why? On top of the previous why. Peers and subordinates are not supportive. They all have their own individual priorities. How? You can bring everyone on same page, coach them and try to have everyone's vision aligned to organization vision. It will reduce the differences. So if we look into this whole thing, the pain is not actually what we discussed. The pain is now, or the requirement is now reframed. It is reframed as how might we craft task, relation, and cognitive process to be motivated at work. Okay. The last is relation crafting. In the relation crafting, the first that comes into picture that is brainstorming. As discussed, the brainstorming was one of my negative sentiment because the brainstorming, the way it was being carried out was within the department. It was confined to a particular department only. Now, my aspiration is to bring this or to have this brainstorming with all other departments who either are directly or indirectly related to the project. So it can be the payroll department, it can be the research department, it can be some other department who are like infrastructure department who are related to our department. So there can be a number of other departments can bring up their views which are definitely not patronized the way we used to carry. Now to have this kind of discussions happen or to have this kind of brainstorming happen, we need to have a good culture being defined. In fact, the thing is like to have innovation to be carried out, we need to have a disciplined culture to be in place. So the few of the points that supposed to be carried out to have a good culture, that is, stay focused on the topic, defer judgment, like after any discussion on a point, one should not be in a hurry to come up with a judgment. Build on ideas of others. Like if someone has come up with a point and the other people thinks something may happen or something good might happen on top of that, the idea which is just now discussed, can share their views. Excuse me. One conversation at a time. Be visual. Be visual means whenever we are representing our idea or sharing our idea, it's better to share it in visual format. It can be on post-it, it can be on whiteboard, anywhere, but it is always good to share that in visual format. Encourage wild ideas. It's something like not to limit ourselves within the pattern that what we have been following. Definitely, we need to think out of box, being focused on the topic. Go for quantity. Think user-centric. We need to be focused on the requirement that has come up. Next is design principle. In design principle, we collect all possible ideas. Once the data or the ideas are collected, it goes through churning. This churning machine is nothing but questionnaires. These questionnaires are also very much curated in a disciplined way. There are two tools which are used. One is 5Y process, another is 5W and 1H process. So we'll go through those in detail. Output of these questionnaires are actually the ideas what we have now as an output are all the feasible ideas or which can be prioritized. Now the ideas which has gone through this under this questionnaire process, now we have been filtered out with the ideas and left out with few ideas, and now these ideas are supposed to be prioritized. This prioritization is again happening based on dot voting. Now say we have 3 stickers to map each of the idea. Say one is one that trades high, second that trades second, and third that is base. I mean to say that is the least prioritized one. So in a pyramid we have 3 different layers. One is the one that is prioritized, most prioritized, second is the middle level, and third is the least prioritization. So with that, like probably everyone will have the liberty to vote each and every idea, but rule is one can vote one idea only once. One cannot vote one idea more than once. So with that, like one will have the liberty to vote whatever the number of ideas are there, and then we need to accumulate all the votings and see which particular idea has got highest vote, and in that way a range of ideas between this and this vote will be on top-notch part of the pyramid, and then the second is defined and last is the third one. We'll go with the questionnaire right now. Like the first is 5xy, that is 5 times a question why is being asked on a particular topic. Now say it helps actually, this particular thing is helping to understand a particular subject from different dimension. Now say if I take the example of my son, like who was looking for an expensive pen for his exam. Now I may come up with a question with first why he requests so. Then again a why on that one. Why that pen writes good. Again I may come up with in one more why on top of that. So the thing is like usually it is said to have 5-time iteration that may happen, but it is not always. It is not a thumb rule. Like we always need to have a 5 whys to acknowledge a particular requirement. We may even have our answer before 5 whys also. So why 5? It is usually said like in this 5 iteration, we easily end up getting our acknowledgement related to that particular pain area or requirement. Now say, if we see over here on a proposal, like why proposal is required, why the proposal is regarded as bring value to client, why should the proposal prioritized, why does the proposal have an impact? So what it means to say is like this why is iterative, and probably maximum number of whys on that particular subject is been done 5 times at the most. The next is 5W1H. It is somewhat related to Zachman theory, wherein like 5W is used, that is what, who, why, when, where, and H is how. So this is again the mind behind this is again related to 5XY to get the acknowledgement from different dimensions related to that particular problem. So it is not retaining itself to why, rather it is again talking from different other dimensions, like what that proposal is, who are the impacted persons related to that particular proposal or related to that particular requirement, why that proposal is important for that client, when the proposal is most required in the course of journey to achieve the goal, where in the journey the proposal is most required to achieve the goal. So probably the requirement is a big one, and in which part of the requirement it is making the most impact, how best the proposal can be validated. So this is how like getting the acknowledgement on a particular subject from different dimension. This is a dot voting. Dot voting is nothing but it is prioritizing the idea. Once we have passed through, once we have passed through this filtration process of gathering the prioritized ideas, then we need to do the voting. Voting, a simple way of voting is to have stickers, 3 different colors of stickers, and each person is supposed to vote one idea only once. Suppose there are n persons are there and there are m ideas are there, then each person can vote m times. Now, the thing is like they can vote each idea once, and they can vote among these 3, that is say 1, 2, 3, 1 to be the highest priority, second to be the middle level priority, and third to be the least priority. One can vote one idea among these 3 categories, that is priority 1, priority 2, or priority 3. And again, as said, like one can vote one idea once only. So a person can vote m times, as because there are m ideas are there, and there can be a idea can have n votes with that, because there are n number of persons are there. So an idea can have n number of votes associated with it. With this, like we'll go with the last tool, that is 2 into 2 matrix. This is not NABC. This tool comes into picture once we have the prioritization done. Now say on the top of the pyramid, there are 100 ideas are there. And all the 100 ideas, as because they are lying on the top of the pyramid, all are prioritized. All are supposed to be acknowledged. Now, which one is supposed to be acknowledged first? The low-hanging fruits supposed to be acknowledged first, right? So this is the matrix which helps in acknowledging to the low-hanging fruits. The x-axis determines the effort and the y-axis determines value. So the thing is, what we have been saying is low-hanging fruit means with least effort, if we can achieve the highest value, that is the best possible way. So if someone that is lying in the quadrant 1, or any idea which falls in this quadrant 1, which can be acknowledged with least possible effort, and it is going to bring good value to customer, definitely you are going to acknowledge that first. Okay. Next is probably effort is required, and at the same time it is also going to acknowledge high value. So that supposed to be our second priority. Third, effort is less and value is also less. So we need to decide which among this quadrant 2 or quadrant 3 need to be acknowledged. As said, like all are carrying same priority, as all of them are lying on the top of the pyramid. So among them, we are now again distinguishing which needs to be prioritized or which needs to be developed first. So quadrant 2 or quadrant 3 need to be decided. And in quadrant 4, it is seen among others, it doesn't give much of the value, but it may carry some dependencies on other modules. So the effort for that one might be at the last, or it may be parked for the last development. And the prioritization now can be seen in this way: the green to be the first one, the yellow may toggle between quadrant 2 or quadrant 3, and then the last one could be the quadrant 4, because it requires high effort and the value from its may not be expected as compared to the other quadrant. With this, we end up this session. Thanks a lot.